Netflix's Daredevil was the best of the Marvel shows produced, and that includes the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that. And I never even watched the Cloak and Dagger. But anyway, so yeah, Daredevil was the best one, and now there's pretty serious, credible rumors, I believe, that Charlie Cox's Daredevil will be weaved into the MCU. Apparently, somehow, one way or another, within the Spider-Man 3 film, probably as Matt Murdock will be Peter Parker's lawyer, which is probably too good to be true in a lot of ways, because they'll finally get something right about the world of Spider-Man, which MCU just hasn't so far. But anyway, that's a whole other story. So I loved the first two seasons, but I had not watched the third season. Maybe I can't remember exactly why. I guess after trying to sit through Defenders, which I never finished until last night, which I burned through it, and then I realized, oh, this is why, because it's so boring and bad, and forced situations and stuff like it. It just wasn't any good. But the one strong thing about it was that it was only 8 episodes. And I think that I keep coming back to that with a lot of these, this current era of television, if you will, or streaming or what have you, that I think it works better, especially for genre shows, when they stretch them out to multiple, like 13 to even 20 episodes or what have you. They don't have the material for it. And that was certainly, well, it didn't help Defenders. They just, I mean, some aspects, some of the performances were good, the moves, the actors were okay, but there was really no life in that series. So the follow-up is the third and final season of Daredevil. The premise of him in this series is that he's broken now again after having lost Elektra seemingly at the end. Everyone believes Matt Murdock had died, but he miraculously survived getting flushed out of the sewer. and so he has to claw his way back. Now, one of the interesting things about this is, once again, this is similar to the Batman films, where they borrow and pick and choose elements of Frank Miller's work, whether it's Dark Knight Returns or Batman Year One, and I guess a little bit of Alan Moore's Killing Joke was thrown in there here and there, probably more likely in the Joker film, but for the most part, it's Frank Miller's Batman that you see in there, but you never get the actual adaptation of the stories, whether it's Year One or Dark Knight Returns, which those narratives blow away any of the Batman films, and yet it just can't seem to get adapted. Well, the same is true here for the third season of Daredevil. Frank Miller wrote the story Born Again, where the Kingpin utterly destroys Matt Murdock and takes everything away from him. And then Matt Murdock has to claw his way back. And he does, to ultimate victory, although maybe not completely ultimate victory, because Kingpin, at the end of that story, does not go to prison, but his power is pretty much in shambles. And he's just not as powerful as he used to be. After all of this. So, because, he called in a lot of favors to take down this one man. And it's interesting, because he gets inside Daredevil's head and cripples him and crushes him and all this stuff. And in doing so, kind of traps himself to be, now Daredevil is in his head. And his obsession with him ultimately becomes his undoing. And it's a great story. There's certainly, that is present in the season 3, but it's not the same story. It didn't have to be a complete adaptation of all of it, but the idea that, he discovers his identity and he uses it against him and all that stuff could have been in there, but that's not how it works out. I mean, Daredevil is already broken without Wilson Fisk having anything to do with it. He just, I guess, what was it, the third or fourth episode, he realizes Wilson Fisk is being let out of prison and put in a halfway house, which turns out to be a luxury penthouse apartment that, later on they discover he owns the building. It is, they do have it where he slowly, he ends up basically turning the entire FBI almost, well, at least the agents involved in his case, towards him. And one poor guy is unwittingly in this until finally it's way too late for him. And it's a sad story of the agent who wanted to get ahead, and he let that blind him to obvious problems here, where what it appears to be is not the case. So it's not a bad season. It's still pretty good, and Daredevil it remains the best that they did. I think it would have been stronger had it been shortened down, because there's elements that even the development of the Bullseye villain, which is good, much better than the movie was, and but it's kind of, it gets into repetitious things about it, and it's like, yeah, I get it, I understand, and all of that, and then how Kingpin is able to manipulate him, but in the end, he's not the character he can actually control. No one can control him, and of course, he's completely turned into this monster that he pretty much always was, but he was trying to cling to something to maintain his humanity, and it's all gone by the end. And it leaves it open that if they could have done a fourth season, I'm sure he would return, perhaps in his own costume. One of the downsides of a superhero thing, I remember talking about the Defenders with someone at the old comic shop where everyone talks comic book stuff, and he said, yeah, I see it as a series that's embarrassed of being a superhero show. And I think, yeah, there's a lot of that in these, and but Daredevil sticks out like a sore thumb, because there he is in his get-up and everything. It's like, so it seems they got rid of that, and he's back into his, his black clothes and a little whatever that is, mask that he makes out of a shirt or something, I don't know, and that's where he is. And for him being broken down and wanting to climb his way back up, I could understand that, but he never gets back into the suit. The image of the suit, of course, is ruined because Bullseye impersonates him as part of Kingpin's plan to ruin Daredevil and all that. But, yeah, I think the length of it was a weakness to it, and it pales in comparison to source material of Born Again, which is, a masterpiece. And this doesn't really come close. That's not fair. It does come close to it, but it's not on its level. Especially with, I understand that, yes, he believes Elektra's dead, and he failed to save her. He was trying to save her from what had happened to her with the hand, and when they resurrected her and all this stuff, and the love was still there, but she's so far gone and broken he couldn't do it. And then everything collapses on him, and she's nowhere to of course, darn good and well she's not dead, but as far as he knows, she is. And then it's just like, he's so far removed from it, to the point that he's burning bridges everywhere. I don't know. I don't know if maybe Foggy Nelson would back him up, but I don't know if Karen would. She is mad at him and everything, but and of course we get more insights into her life and how broken she is. They're all, Nelson's probably the only normal one around. He's not as broken. He does have problems with his family. He's got to come in and save his family, and his brother's kind of an idiot, but stuff like that, but nothing on par with Matt Murdock and Karen Page. There is the element of the discovery of Murdock's mother in there, and they do handle it well, and it does work out, and the performances between the two actors is good and credible and everything. But it was just, I remember the scene in the comic book where it's just by Daredevil, it dawns on him that this woman could be his mother, and he's, "Are you my mother?" And she says, "Well, don't be ridiculous, And then, of course, he can hear the heartbeat. He says, "She's lying." And so that's how he knows she is my mother. So then there's that whole story. It's really good, but it could have been so much better, and I think would have been so much stronger had it been shorter. A good example of is he has to break out of a prison that he gets into, and there's people there that Kingpin sent in to kill him, and man, it just goes on and on. And to keep in mind, Daredevil, his superpowers, such as they are, is his super senses. But beyond that, he's just a guy who's, well trained. He, I mean, the beat down he takes. And I mean, it does show him he's stumbling along and he's in pain and everything and all that. But still, I don't know if he made it out of that one. But it just, it took forever. And the whole point was that he's discovering the truth of Kingpin's plot there and everything. But yeah, so there are a lot of cool scenes in it and stuff like that. But again, yeah, I think if it had only been 8 episodes, it would have been a lot stronger, and I would have done it much better than what happened. I think it had too much actual filler in a streaming show, which is completely unnecessary. So anyway, all right, so there you go. Better late than never, I guess. But in the light of sounds like they will continue with this version of Daredevil in some form or fashion through the MCU, and so I thought I'd catch up on that. And it doesn't take away from my conclusion that yes, Daredevil was the best of Marvel's television endeavors. And also, it's even with the 3rd season, it's still, although I still recommend shorter episodes, it does give a good map for a Batman show that you could do. And I just don't know for the life of me why it hasn't happened. But then again, be careful what you wish for. If they CW that, it's like, oh, because it's like, oh, the Batwoman show everyone laughs at. But imagine if they had done that with Batman, it would be so bad. So anyway, there you go, Daredevil season 3. Check it out if you haven't. Yeah, Daredevil. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.